I am Subhash Limbu, Assistant Professor in the Department of Commerce, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Today, we will talk about employee morale. It is one of the very important concepts that has attracted attentions of the researchers, academicians practicing human resource management in different organizations. See, human resource is considered to be the most valuable asset of any organization. Human resources means they have the sum of or the totality of inherent abilities, acquired knowledge, skills represented by the talents and aptitudes of the employed persons, and they may comprise of executives, supervisors, and any employees. And the attitudes, feelings, and emotions of these employees play a vital role to determine their performance and behavior. And this in turn determine the success and growth of the organization. It is for this reason that personnel experts, that HR experts, as well as line managers, are now providing keen attention to the issues of motivations and morale in industries. In nutshell, the emotions, the feelings, the attitude of employees will influence the performance, and in long term, this influences also the performance of the organization as a whole. Let us look into what is employee morale. See, morale is a very widely used term. It is used everywhere. Schools, colleges, non-government organizations, government organizations, private organizations. It is used everywhere. It is also used in informal setting as well as in the formal setting. See, it generally refers to spirit de corps. It refers to a feeling of enthusiasm, feeling of zeal, confidence in individuals or groups that they will be able to cope with the task assigned to them. In other words, whatever task is given to the individual employees or the groups, when they feel excited, confident that they will be able to accomplish the task, then it is morale. A person's enthusiasm for his jobs reflects his attitude of mind to work, reflects his attitude to environment as well as to his employer, and his willingness to strive for the goal set for him by the organization in which he is employed. A person's enthusiasms. In other words, we are talking about the morale. If the person's morale is high, then it will be reflected in his or her attitude towards work environment, towards his employer. It will influence his willingness to strive for the goal set for him by the organization in which he or she is employed. So, in nutshell, an employee morale is about employee's feeling, how he or she is feeling at the job. If he or she is feeling very confident, very happy, very enthusiastic, then we can say that employee morale is high or low. Here again, I would like to reflect upon morale is again you can say is a relative term. Correct? Morale should be high or low. We are interested in morale in human resource management because the more high morale or the low morale has direct influence over the performance of the employee. Now let us look into some approaches to the definition, to the meaning or to the concept of morale. There are basically three approaches. One is classical, another is psychological, and then social approach. Let us see first what is classical approach. See, a classical approach uh, is one of the traditional way of looking at the moral. You see, Robert M. Guine has defined moral as the extent to which individual needs are satisfied and the extent to which an individual perceives that satisfaction stemming from total job satisfaction. In other words, classical theorists, they believe employee morale is about extent to which individual needs are satisfied. Every individuals have their needs. At what level those needs are satisfied, and among whatever being satisfied, what is the role played by the total job. See, there are different types of satisfaction are there. Then how much job satisfaction I'm getting? That is employee morale as per classical approach. In other words, let us say, so in nutshell, uh, classical theorists, they see moral as a what? Extent to an extent to which individuals' needs are satisfied, and how much those needs are coming from the job. If those needs, those satisfied needs, if needs are not at all satisfied, morale will be low, whether he or she is in job or not. Because first step in enhancing the morale is that their needs should be satisfied. Now for employment related morale, how much those needs are satisfied by the job. If jobs plays a major role in satisfying those needs, then the morale at the workplace of the employee will be higher. If it is found that the need of that particular individual is being satisfied from somewhere else, not from the job, then morale related to job will be lower. See, according to this approach, the satisfaction of basic needs is the symbols of morale. See, satisfaction of basic needs symbolizes morale. And if the basic needs of the employee are satisfied, then morale will be always on the higher side. And just opposite, if the needs are not satisfied, morale will be low. And if job or the work environment or the job plays a very insignificant role in those need satisfaction, then the morale related to the work will be also on the lower side. Let us look into the psychological approach. In the words of Jussius and Slender, morale is a state of mind and emotions affecting willingness to work, which in turn affects individual and organizational objectives. See, psychological approach is looking at the morale as a state of mind and emotions. What is the condition of my mind? What is my emotions, like type or level, you see? And this state of mind and emotions affects my willingness to work, and which in turn affects accomplishment of my goals, my organizational goals. Okay, so if my state of mind is such where I am willing to give more in the job, then my morale is, employee morale, me as an employee, my morale is high. But if my state of mind is such, or my emotion is such that it negatively influences my willingness to work, then morale is low. So according to this approach, morale is a psychological concept, that is state of mind and emotions. Let us look at the third approach, the social approach. According to this approach, morale is a social phenomenon which enables the men to live in a society or group in pursuit of a common goal. And according to Blackmanship, morale is the feeling of togetherness. There is a sense of identification with and interest in the elements of one's job, working conditions, fellow employees, supervisor, employer, and the company. In other words, social approach perceives morale as a feeling of togetherness. If you identify yourself with the job, you identify yourself with the working conditions, you feel belonging to the organizations, you feel the part of the group of fellow employees. Okay, if you identify yourself with the supervisor and employer and the company, then morale is high. And if you cannot identify yourself with all these entities, then moral will be on the lower side. So, under the social approach, moral is a stimulation of the feelings of togetherness. If we feel that we are part of togetherness, we are part of the group, then moral is on the higher side. It is an identification of group interest and that of interest of the enterprise, fellow employees, and the requirement of the job. If my interest is in line with the group interest, interest of the fellow employees, as well as the requirement of the job, then moral is on the higher side. Moral is the creation of an atmosphere in the organization conducive to the achievement of enterprise. So we talk about classical approach, psychological approach, social approach. Classical approach focuses on the individual need satisfactions and how much those satisfaction comes from the job. Psychological approach talks about state of mind, emotions, and the social approach talks about feeling of togetherness, identifying oneself with others in the enterprise. Now let us look into the effects of moral. Okay, see why we are interested, because if high moral is there, then there will be positive influence. If the low moral is there, then there will be negative influence. Let us look into the positive effects of high moral first. But before that, let us talk about a quote by Napoleon. He said, in war, moral conditions make up of 3/4 of the game. Relative balance of manpower accounts for the remaining quarter. In other words, moral plays a significant role in a war. If you want to win a war, and for that you need to score 100, then out of this 25 will come from the manpower strength, how many numbers of soldiers you have, and 75% will come from their moral of those soldiers. Even if you have lakhs of soldiers with low morale, no, you cannot win the war. To win the war, numbers of soldiers are important, but more important, more significant is their morale. That's why morale is also equally seen important in management, because high morale means willingness to cooperate. High morale means loyalty to the organizations. And employees with high morale, you will find that they take greater interest in the job. They take initiatives. They bring a sense of identity with the organizations, and they take pride in it. Let us look into the positive impact of morale. See, number one, higher performance. Yes, definitely. People with the high morale, they are motivated, they take initiatives, they are aware of their objectives, they take initiatives in making plans and implement it. They are always open for communications, and all this will influence their performance. Quality of the work will also improve, because the employees with high morale will give more effort, will have more interest in the work. Yes, the employees with high morale, they are mostly satisfied, because job satisfaction is one of the important reasons behind high morale. Now, when the performance is high, quality is also improving, employees are also satisfied, then this all reduces the cost, and because of that, cheaper goods and services are made available to the consumers. As I said before, lower cost is again another possible effects of high morale. Higher profits when cost is low, productivity is high, goods and services are sold at cheaper price, quality goods and services are sold at cheaper price, so it will have possible impact on the sales. Then when high sales, low cost, higher profits. And when higher profits are there, the management, the company or the enterprise is in a position to provide better wages and salaries to the employees. And when the employees are satisfied with the environment, they're getting better wages, better salaries, they tend to stay for longer period of time. And at the same time, organization, the management will also maintain stability for longer period of time because employees are performing better. Another possible impact of high morale is that low absenteeism. When your environment is good, performance is also improving, then definitely employees would like to give their best efforts, and this results in low absenteeism. And at the same time, people, they want to continue in that kind of work environment, they want to continue to work there, and because of this, labor turnover also falls down, means less number of people will leave your organizations. And again, employees initiatives, regularity and punctuality, means employees will become more punctual, they will reach on time, they will accomplish their task on time, they will become very regular to their job, and they will take initiatives, means they will take they will take pride, they will take pleasure in solving the problem themselves. And another impact of high morale is that fewer industrial accidents. How? Because the motivated employees, right, they will be very careful working out, okay, they will be more interested in the particular work, they will be more focused, and this will lead to fewer industrial accidents. Yes, at the organizational level, it will bring stability as well as growth. And the most important, okay, the an enterprise where morale is high, they will have sound industrial relation. Industrial relation is basically the relationship between employer and employee, relationship between employee and employee, okay, relationship between trade union and the management, correct? All these relationships will be very cordial, conducive, if the employees morale is on the higher side. Let us look into the negative impact of low morale or poor morale. See, lower morale or poor morale exists when attitudes inhibits the willingness and ability of an organization to attain its objectives. If attitudes creating problems or obstructing my willingness and my ability to perform, then it is low morale and it's very dangerous. And if employee seems to be dissatisfied, irritated, cranky, critical, restless and pessimistic, they are described as having poor or low morale. See, these are some effects of the poor morale, like apathy, just opposite of empathy, okay, their non-involvement. If anything wrong is happening, let it be, they don't want to involve themselves. Even if they have the solutions, they can do better, but they will not do. Sorry. Fatigue and monotony. If morale is on the lower sides, employees will always have fatigue, okay, the tasks will become monotonous, correct, and this fatigue and monotonous will lead to high labor turnover. People will leave the organizations. If the morale of the employees are low, they are the one who will leave the organization first. There will be frequent work stoppages because non-involvement, because they will not take initiatives, correct. There will be breakdowns in machineries due to the lack of attention of the employees, so there might be work stoppages. Yes, high rate of absenteeism. People with the poor morale, they tend to remain away from their job because they don't feel satisfied, they don't feel excited at the workplace, so they will not come, so absenteeism will increase. And again, there will be disciplinary problems because when you are not satisfied, correct, you are not happy in the organizations, and generally what you will do, you will break the rules and regulations, and it will create disciplinary problems, correct. People are not interested to work, so there will be restriction of output. They will try to give only minimum effort, minimum that is required to save their job, okay, so they will restrict. As I said, there will be disciplinary problems, high rate of absenteeism, all this will increase grievances. Okay, and these may lead to labor unrest. There might be industrial disputes, conflicts in the form of strike, in the form of gherav, and sometimes maybe management has to go for lockout. And this will also increases wastages and spoilage of raw materials, wastages of time, resources, etc. These are the possible effect of low morale or poor morale in an organization. Now let us look into what are the factors that influences employee morale. All these factors can be classified into two categories: organizational factors and personal factors. Okay, let us look at the organizational factors first. The first organizational factor that I will talk about is reputation of the organizations. See, persons working in a reputed organizations will experience feelings of pride and a spirit of loyalty, just opposed to those who are working in a less popular organizations. However, it is not always correct. It's not always correct to say that those who are working in a less popular organization, they are less motivated. But when those people work in the reputed organizations, they will feel pride. Okay. Another factors that influences employee morale is the objectives of the organizations. See, employees are highly motivated and their morale is higher if their individual goals and objectives are in tune with the organizational goals and objectives. The commonness of purpose will result in a high morale. But if the objectives of the individual and the objectives of the organization is clashing, they are going in different directions, then it will negatively influence the morale. Okay. Organizational design is another factor that influences the morale in the organizations, employee morale. See, organizational structure has an impact on the quality of labor relations, particularly on the level of morale. Large organizations tend to lengthen their channels of vertical communications to increase the difficulty of upward communications. Therefore, in those organizations, morale tends to be lower. However, if the organizations tend to be flat, means less levels of management are there, then there will be increase in communications. And this increase in free flow of communications enhances the level of morale of employees. Another very important factor that influences employee morale, is the nature of work. A meaningful and satisfying job helps to improve employee morale. In such a job, each member of the group understands clearly how his specific task contributes to the attainment of group goals. And morale tends to be low when the job provides no challenge and satisfaction and job standards are considered too high. See, nature of the work is very important factor influencing the morale. If the individuals is not aware of or not clear about the contributions of his task, of his goal attainment in the overall organizational activities, then he will not be motivated. Morale will not go our sides. The employee should be clear about his or her contributions and how it will help the organization to achieve its goal. Moreover, if the job or the work itself does not provide challenge satisfactions, or work standards are so high, then it will create a problem. Morale will be on the lower side. Even the jobs that are dull, monotonous, repetitive, all this affects morale negatively. It means it will lower down the morale. Work environment also plays a very important role in influencing the employee morale. See, the term work environment used to describe the surrounding condition in which an employee operates. The building and its appearance, the conditions of machine tools available at workplace, lighting, ventilation, provisions for safety, medical aid, repair to machinery, etc. All these have an impact on an employee's morale. It is the direct function of conditions in the workplace. How the workplace is directly influence the morale. For example, clean, safe, comfortable and pleasant work conditions are generally considered as moral booster. Now let us look into working condition as a factor influencing employee morale. Working conditions refers to the working environment and aspects of an employee's terms and conditions of employment. Okay, focus is here terms and conditions. This covers matters like organization of work and work activities, training, skills and employability, health, safety and well-being, wages, salaries, job security, working time and work-life balance, etc. See, work environment is about physical environment. Working conditions basically focus on the terms and conditions of the work. Okay, if all these terms and conditions are on the better sides, it will have a good influence over the employee morale. But if the wages and salaries are low, okay, work-life balance is not there, working times is not scheduled. If it's properly scheduled, then it's very lengthier, then it will have a negative impact on the employee morale. When the wages are fair, job is secure, just opposite of what I said. When the wages are fair, job is secure and there are opportunities, promotions, job satisfaction and morale are likely to be high. Another factor, rewards. Employees expect adequate compensation for their services rendered to the organizations. A good system of wages, salaries, promotions and other incentives keeps the morale of the employees high. And one of the requirements of high morale is the possibility and opportunity to progress in any concern. All employees should be given an opportunity to progress and to earn high wages without any discriminations. If the rewards are not there or rewards are very biased, not rationalized, all this will lead to fall in employee morale. Yes, leadership plays also a very important role in influencing employee morale. The actions of the management exercise a tremendous influence on the morale of employees. High rate of turnover, for example, indicate that leadership is ineffective. Okay, competent, dependable and fair-minded leadership can build and maintain high morale, and such leadership can win the confidence of employees through sympathetic and friendly behavior. Lines of authority and responsibility clear and communication system is effective if leadership is strong. Another factor is supervision. The nature of supervision reflects the attitudes of employees because a supervisor is in direct and in continuous contact with the employees. If the relationship between the superior and the subordinate is not good, if the superiors are impartial, correct, they don't have biases, they are helpful, they are capable team, then it boosts the morale of subordinates. Fellow employees also plays a very important role in influencing employee morale. Man, being a social animal, finds his home, his work more satisfying if he feels that he has the acceptance and companionship of his fellows. If he has confidence in his fellow employees and faith in their loyalty, his morale will be high. Whereas poor attitude of co-employees influences negatively. As I said before, a feeling of togetherness and common goals tend to raise employee morale. If that feelings are not there, group cohesiveness is not there, then morale will be in the lower side. Another very important factor that influences the employee morale is concept of self. That is how employees look at himself. For example, individuals who lack self-confidence or who suffer from poor physical or mental frequently develop moral problems. Further, how the employee's personal needs are satisfied can significantly influence their morale. Salary, fringe benefits, dearness allowances may affect employee morale in a positive or negative manner when they compare themselves with others doing the similar job. This is concept of self. And there are some personal factors, okay, like employees' age. It is found by many studies that younger employees are more dissatisfied. That's why you can see younger people, they change jobs frequently than the older one. In gender, it is observed that through the various studies that lower occupational aspirations are there among women. Women it's not right to directly say the woman, but some studies have found that okay, women they have less occupational aspirations. Educational level, yes, mismatch of level of education and position in the organizations definitely have influence on the employee morale. If it is not properly matched, my education and my work is not matching, are not in line, then there will be problems. More dependent rates creates more pressures. If I'm married, I have children, there will be more pressures in my life, and this may influence employee morale, my morale. I mean, occupational level also is very influential. At what level I am working? Say, for example, higher executives are found to have higher morale than the lower one. Okay, the higher position you will work, the morale will be on the higher side. Again, experience. With the years, morale increases, but may fall back if some needs, some aspirations are unfulfilled. With this, today I conclude the class. Thank you. If you have any issues, you can contact me. Thank you very much.